What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Team Generations, and today we have a very special treat. We are looking at an updated list for Orfist coming out of DBT02, A Brush with the Legends. So with the new support, I feel like this deck definitely got a lot more dynamic than it was in set 1. I think that there are certainly matchups now where you have to kind of know them, the ins and outs, in order to kind of perform as well as you possibly can with this deck. I feel like in set 1 it was just kind of consistent, do your thing, turn after turn, slam them with big numbers. I mean, the idea of that is still there today, but I think with certain matchups now, we have to kind of know the ins and outs. So I will be going over that in this deck profile, along with just a lot of the choices that I made and some of the struggles and just tales of like what I kind of went through to put this deck together. I think that I went through a lot of different builds, and overall this is like where I'm really landed. I'm happy with it now. Tried a lot of different things. So without further ado, let's hop right in. I'm going to go over the ride line, going to go over the deck profile, as well as like a test hand and like matchup kind of review at the end. So stick around for that. Let's hop right in. Alright, before I begin, I just wanted to quickly mention that if you guys do enjoy the content, I ask that maybe you do leave a like on the video, possibly subscribe to the channel, really helps us out. Also, we do have a TCG player affiliate link down below if you are looking to purchase any of the cards that you see here today. Absolutely no cost to you, just helps out the team. And without further ado, with all the ritual stuff kind of mentioned, we are going to go into the ride line. So obviously we're starting with the starter. It could be any of the starters, doesn't really matter. I just aesthetically want to keep it kind of all together. That Cardinal Fang Fovi. We are going to go right into, obviously, the Cardinal Noid Rotis. Of course, when you place it down, you search that World Order card, and then we get to reveal it, put it in our hand. Just a great card overall, really need it for the ride line. I'm going to kind of breeze through this because I went over it in the last profile, but we are obviously going into Cardinal Noid Cubicia as well. So obviously when a set order is played, you get an extra 5k. Now you can put it on the Vanguard. You could also put it on a token. We can get a token now on grade 2. I'll show you how in a little bit. If you do that, and your opponent no passes on, or no guards on your Vanguard swing, which is 10k, you hit a trigger, they hit a trigger, it doesn't matter because you gave that 5k to your your token, so they still get over it, which is nice, even if they like want to pass it with 5k or whatever it is. I find that is the play I go into a little bit more often than not, but you still can put the 5k on him. And obviously we are running Orfist, so Orfist whole deal, obviously if you have 2 of the set World Order cards, you're going to be in Abyssal Dark Knight. We then get to get an additional 5k. If your world is Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight, doesn't matter, still gets 5k, but we really need the 2 set orders down for his second skill, which is to counterblast 2, call up to 3 Shadow Army tokens, 2 Rearguard Circle, and that really is like the lifeblood of our deck. We kind of want to make sure that we have that available every single turn, and we do have some alternatives now in the deck to kind of help us. If we're getting counter-starved for this, we can kind of get around it in some ways. So I'm going to show you that as well. So let's hop right into the main deck profile, and then I'll get into that test hand right after. Alright, jumping right into the main deck, I'm going to do something a little bit different this time around. I think I'm going to start with the order cards, just because so much of the deck is predicated upon this. So just starting off, I'm choosing, I was running 4 of these, I bumped it down to 2 just because, or I'm sorry, 3, just because I saw this not too often, but you're only allowed 1 set order per turn, so I think I was seeing them often enough where like 3 is fine for that kind of pacing. So I am running 3 of these. This is Howling Moonlit Night. You basically Soul Blast 1, put this into the order zone, and you draw a card. Very nice, just more card advantage. This deck is really about card advantage and making sure that you have the hand to kind of survive a little bit later into the game. Next up, I find that we are finding a lot of pesky units in this meta right now, so I'm going to be running 2 of Darkness, Nobody Knows. So this is really good against like Varina decks, obviously on the mat over here. I love Dragon Empire, that's my main clan, but it's really good also to kind of zap some of the Leonards, maybe Marjories and stuff like that kind of bother you. Some key Bastion cards too, like if you want to pop, just something, the Restander, the new guy, whatever it is, you really don't want to deal with it. This is just a solid card for some of that removal. Also, I am choosing to run 2 of these. So previously I was running 1, but this is the new order card. This is Eclipse Moonlight, so overall 7 total, which I feel like is on the leaner side, but this is definitely acceptable. I think this is like the optimal ratio. You can bump this to 8 overall if you want to get in 1 more of those draw. I'll show you what the bump out later, but this guy's skill is play this with Counterblast 1, and then when this card is put into the order zone, we get to call a Shadow Army token. So we can actually call one of these on our grade 2 turn, which is really awesome. Gets a little bit more aggression into the deck, and maybe just something that we didn't previously have, like just a little bit more beatdown, which is really nice. Previously, there was a grade 2 we included in this deck, but it really went live on grade 3, which is not the greatest thing. So this is definitely an option that we can go into now. I will say, just a matchup, a quick thing, if you are playing against Bruce, typically you don't want to, like if you want second especially, you don't want to place this down and give them a target to swing at that's not your Vanguard so they can counter starve you, because chances are they're going to want to just go into like a vanilla Bruce turn maybe, if they're not calling a lot of rear guards, they're just playing for the long game. Don't give them a target to not swing at, don't let them counter starve you. pretty much you probably want to go into the Howling Moonlit Light just to draw out, or maybe even the other one, you know, go search it out if you can't get that. So obviously the search power for these things in the deck is great with that grade 1 ride. Previously I was dropping my, I think I was running just, this was my order count up, and it was just too light. I needed another one of these. There's oftentimes your opponent will not let you get 2 counterblasts and they'll counterstarve you, so you have to go, you know, take it upon yourself to really, you know, just create another one. Maybe you had, you know, an army token previously on the field, so at least you do have 2 of those 15k at very minimum kind of attacks. So this is a very, very necessary card. I think playing at a 1 is just incorrect. I think you definitely need it at least 2. Play with the ratios as you see fit, but I think this is working pretty nicely for myself as of right now. Moving right along into the main deck now, we're going to be looking at Orfist. So obviously we want to re-ride every single turn. Draw power is great. Get that extra buff onto your units. Running an additional 3 of them. Nothing more to really say about that. Just nice 18k number by itself. Bumps up to 28 if you Persona ride, 33 if it's boosted by a Shadow Army token, 43 if it's in Persona ride. So again, just really nice to be able to hit those numbers. Very solid numbers for a 3 attack deck, which this is. Unfortunately, no multi-attack in this deck, but yeah, hitting really, really solid numbers overall. We are next going to go into the grade 2s. That's it for the grade 3s. A lot of people do play that grade 3 that pressures like an on-hit draw card. I think that's fine. Like, you could totally do that, but I was getting counter-starved a lot, and I think a little bit later you'll see the cards that I chose to tech in instead, but it's not incorrect to run that. I think that is definitely a viable choice. I feel like there's a lot of options and a lot of decks in this meta right now, but we are going to move right along to the grade 2. No surprise here, this is the new triple rare out of the DBTO 2. This is going to be Cardinal Draco Albert. How do you say this? Albedard? Yeah, that's how to say it. It's continuous during your turn if your world is Dark Knight. This guy gets an additional 2k. If it's Abyssal Dark Knight, it gets an additional 5k. And its skill, second skill, auto on rearguard circle. At the end of battle, this unit attacks. We get to retire a Shadow Army token, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, and retire it. So this is decent for that spot removal. Also, it is important in this meta with Leonard running around to not have complete columns where you have to guard out both. Having Leonard, you know, swing into a full rearguard column is just really annoying, not that great. This is good for that spot removal potentially afterwards. I will say that this is annoying because it's after the battle. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked. So if they do have, you know, let's say an Urger or something, you know, that Urger is still on board to potentially sit there and intercept for that extra 10k that it gets. Some other things like that too, but overall I think that this is like a really, really solid unit. You know, it can pop something pesky behind the Vanguard if you don't want that triple driver and Bruce, or, you know, if something is really bugging you on their field, you know, just pop your Shadow Army token and boom, get rid of it. So solid card overall, making that 5k number 2, really keeping it consistent with the 30k columns on your rearguard circles, 40k in Persona ride, so not too bad overall. Definitely support card that we like. We are then going to go into kind of an interesting choice here, kind of lean on the grade 2s now. Obviously, we're running a lot of orders in this deck, so it has to be a bit different than a lot of other main decks, but I am actually choosing to run this. So, like I said previously, I was running, I'll get into this card in 2 seconds, but I was running less orders previously, and I was using the Searcher, and the top 3 was just not enough. Like, at times where I popped it down, it just wasn't making a big impact. Didn't make a 15k body either, which this deck really thrives off of, hitting those nice numbers. So at the very least, I feel like this card does a bit more utility-wise for us. This is Cardinal Fang Estrip. Its skill auto on rearguard circle at the end of each turn. If your world is Abyssal Dark Knight, meaning you have 2 set world orders out, both you and your opponent choose one of your own rearguards and retire it. So, you know, obviously we're going to be popping either itself or a, you know, Shadow Army token. And this is good because, again, Leonard crashing into a full column sucks, so this can kind of help mitigate that. On top of that, you know, you're really forcing your opponent to get rid of something too, and just less cards on their field, more cards from their hand, or whatever, you know, they expend resources to basically get more units on board. So, decent card. I think at a 2 of, it's fine. You know, you can tack a little bit more in there. You can drop this for the Searcher if that's what you really believe in, if you really want to go, like, heavy on the orders, but I'm really liking this lineup as it is right now. Alright, and that is actually it for our grade 2s in the deck. We are going to be moving into the grade 1s now. So starting off, this is like the new lifeblood of the deck. This is really what brought it and just took this deck and made it, you know, step forward, really. This is going to be Cardinal Annoyed Thumbarino. So its skill, auto on rearguard circle. When this unit boosts a Shadow Army token, you may have this unit get an additional 15k until the end of turn. If you do, at the end of the battle, retire all your rearguards in the same column as this unit and draw a card. huge card. So when we're boosting a Shadow Army token, this is going to be making a 38k column without a Persona ride. So really nice number overall. It's a very pesky number. On top of that, if you are Persona riding, obviously it goes up to 48. It's just incredible numbers. And again, doing us the favor of getting rid of that column so Leonard can't crash into it. I know I keep speaking about Leonard. I feel like there's a lot of Bruce players at my locals, and I really enjoy playing against the deck. It is a tough deck. It's a really great deck. Probably is the highest ceiling right now. Bastion still is probably the most consistent, but this is right there in terms of Bastion in terms of consistency, and this really is one of the cards that takes this and just moves this deck forward. Those are insane columns. Drawing the card advantage afterwards, you know, we're not hard calling from hand another Shadow Army token, you know, we're just expending our counterblasts for it, and counterblasts are a big deal in this deck, and that's the way to kind of play around it. When people counter starve us, it sucks. So in order to kind of mitigate some of the counter starving, I went heavy on the counter chargers. So I am still rocking 4 of Bobamine. I tried this out without Bobamine, but honestly I just missed it too much. At the end of battle, this unit boosted. If your order zone has a set order, you put this unit into our soul and counter charge 1. That is just so big for this deck. We cannot be counter starved. Even if you feel like you don't need it at the moment, you might not, like, make a more powerful column, whatever the case is. Like, I think just the counter charge, like even when you perceive that you don't need it at the moment, is just so valuable. Like, I will always be popping Bobamines. It gets rid of itself too, gives you that soul. So if you don't have the rerod, you want to keep popping orders, whatever the case is, like, that is such a huge thing to do for the deck. Again, vacating itself so Leonard can't crash into a whole column. Just really solid card. Unfortunately, you know, I know this is a pricey card. The set is getting reprinted right now. It should be getting into our stores right about when this video releases, but I think that it's just too hard to pass up. I know some people go into this instead as an alternative, and if you can't afford the Bobamine, bump this guy up. You know, definitely try to do as many counter charges as you can, but this is an alright alternative. But again, in locals, I have a very decent locals. I have a couple different ones that I go to, and I think that the players are good. You know, they travel around for these events. They do, you know, they've topped all these huge Bushy Road events before. So I play against good people, and they know how to counter starve. They know how to play against these decks. So to get around that, I feel like in my locals personally, like my area in New York, like I need to be running this. This is Cardinal Prima Ecolpa, I think that's how to say it. It's skill auto on rearguard circle. When this unit attacks or boosts, if your world is Abyssal Dark Knight, retire a Shadow Army token and counter charge 1. So again, just doing that same theme, getting that column vacated. You know, put this behind a dark, the shadow token, whatever the case is, whatever you are doing. Like, I know the timing of this card is kind of wonky, but overall the counter charge is just too important. Like, you cannot be counter starved. You cannot let them, like, dictate your game and how you're playing. So I'm just kind of going heavy on the counter charges. I know not everybody will agree with it, but if your locals is like mine, if your area is like mine, you know, I think that it's definitely a solid option, and I like that. I like to be able to just control what I'm doing with my counter charges, and that really enables me to do so. And then last but not least, obviously PGEs. We're running the newer PGEs, not the trial deck ones. If you can't afford these, you know, go for the trial deck ones, no big deal. But these guys are just better because if you have 2 cards or less, you can drop this from hand alone without sacrificing another card. So really excited for, what was it? Putting some of those in a couple premium decks. I am making a premium Victor deck. I'm going to be just waiting for the festival collection for like 1 or 2 more cards, but I've been playtesting and kind of proxying that. It's really solid, and I think those are cool. So stay tuned for that. You know, hit that subscribe button if you're into premium. We're going to be trying to bring a lot more of that content to the channel as well. But going right into the trigger lineup, we are going to be starting off with the over trigger. Obviously, we're running the Brandt Gate one. This is the best, in my opinion, over trigger in the game. If you hit this early, like, you know, your opponent's on grade 2s, your first grade 3 turn, you can go 0 to 6 on them really easy. Rip a crit, rip this, boom, you just hit them for 4 damage, put the 100 million on, you know, another unit. The other unit has an additional crit too. Like, it's just game over. This is such a great over trigger, so have to be running this one. It's really no point in running the other one in the deck if you can't afford it. You know, I understand, but this is definitely, if you know, playing locals a little bit, get a little money. You know, if they have this in the case, maybe, you know, put that towards it. Definitely need that in the deck. And I am also choosing to run 4 of the new Cardinal Draco Impero. So this is obviously the front trigger. This is the 20k guard. I personally just like guard a little bit more. You can go with 8 crit. I'm choosing to run 7 here instead, just to buff up those fronts. Crits win you games, like, I totally get that, but at the same time, I feel like the shield value and just like the oppressiveness of this deck, turn after turn, we seem to survive a little bit longer than some other decks. I think that the The front triggers just kind of help us do that and do what we're good at, so I am running it at 4. It's not incorrect to bump that down and bump the crits up to 8. I think that's pretty standard also. And then boom, finishing up with the heal triggers, so nothing too crazy here, nothing out of the ordinary. I think this is a very solid triggered lineup, and this deck definitely appreciates it. We don't need the draw triggers. I was checking a draw trigger in previously, just one, and it felt pretty good, but at the same time, I feel like the shield value is just too hard to pass up on here. So we are going to wrap up the main deck profile, and I'm going to get into a test hand, and I feel like I've kind of mentioned some of the matchup quirks along the way, but let's see when I'm doing a test hand what I kind of think, and I'll just give like pointers there. So yeah, let's hop into that. Alright, let's shuffle up over here. Overall, I'm having fun with this deck. I think this is kind of, it moved away from like the brain, you know, I don't want to say brain dead, but kind of just like the very standard Unga Bunga kind of play style that it had in set 1. Like, you really have to think about some choices now in your matchups. You know, do I want to have a oh god, what was her name? The grade 1 that pops off. Do I want to have like 2 of her down early to push early, you know, the Thumberino? Do I want to save one, have 1 column bigger for next turn? A lot of different options you can go into, a lot of different thought kind of processes and lines you can really just start accomplishing with this deck. So I'm a huge fan of it. And if you guys are enjoying the profile so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're definitely going to have a lot more set 2 profiles on the way, trying to wrap them all up in August, and then move into some of the premium stuff. We will have V Premium also. I've made a ton of V Premium deck profiles if you guys want to check out on the top channel. That's a huge format for me. I really still enjoy it a lot. I'm glad my local still kind of supports it, but I think that I have to kind of wait now because they are going to have the heal trigger. So if I what is it, the grade 3 heal triggers? So if, you know, I make those profiles, they're just going to be rendered like obsolete pretty quickly. So I'm going to hold off until set 2. I think. I mean the second, what was it? The clan selection comes out. All right, cool. So let's draw over here. We got 2 order cards, which is not too bad. We're going to put one of them back. I think we're going to, you know, I don't really want shield early because I don't want to be counter starved, and I'm gonna put back this one, I think. Yeah, let's do that. You pretty much just need 1 order card in your hand post mulligan, just because you can search out. You're guaranteed that search for the other 2, or the other one, I'm sorry, off of your grade 1. Okay, yeah, so this is decent. We got a little shield in the hand, maybe early if I want to guard something if they choose to be aggressive. Got that Thumberino for a nice lead up into my grade 3 turn. Alright, and let us proceed. We're going to stand up our Vanguard first and foremost over here. Alright, we are then going to draw for turn. We're going to pretend we go first just to make it a little bit easier like we do in all of our test hand videos. And what are we going to discard here? I think we can discard the counter charger since it is so early in the game and we need a counter, Shadow Army token to get her full effect off. So I'm going to pop that down. I'm going to go into my deck then, and I'm going to get that. What am I going to need? I'm going to need the draw card actually. I think I want to do that. There we go. Alright, perfect. We are then going to, let's go into their turn. I'm going to take a damage for their turn. Boom, no trigger. Alright, I'll keep my damage zone over here. I guess my scope on this. Let me see if I can bring this back just a little bit. There we go. There we are. Everything's in scope there. Alright, cool. Sorry for the glare over there, but we are then going to pass it over to us. So we're going to stand and draw for our turn. Nice, and let's just go into this. I'll show you, again, it's not always the right play, but I'm going to set my world order card. I'm going to counterblast one, spawn a Shadow Army token. Oh, I'm sorry, whoops, did I discard first? No, I did not. Silly me. Let's just discard a shield. We have quite a bit in our hands. Yeah, let's obviously ride up. Camera angle thing kind of threw me off, and since I played the set world order card, I'm going to give it actually over here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let's drive check over here. Boom. So this is 10k. They do like a 1 to pass. If this was a trigger, you can put it there. They still hit a trigger. They're now 18k. Your Shadow Army token is still hitting for 20k. So you could still, you know, they still have to guard something out of hand to take that. So not a bad play overall. I know they have to guard higher numbers in general. If you know, if you give the 5k here, if you give the 10k there, but you know, they can still make it a 1 to pass pretty easily though, and kind of rob you of that second attack. So I like putting that 5k over here. Gonna pass it over. Oops, attack with that. Pass it over to our opponent. Let's take 2 damage here. 1, and let's go 2. All right, we're going to stand and drop. Let us then discard from hand. So what am I going to discard? Kind of sucks, but no, discard a little more shield. Unfortunately, we are then going to ride into our Orfist. There we are. Alright, and let's get started. So we are then going to place this order. I'm going to Soul Blast 1, draw a card, see what we get. Alright, we've got a perfect guard. Perfect. That's pretty decent, actually. Alright, let's go Bobamine here. Let's go with this guy. Actually, yeah, I want the Bobamine, I think. Do I want the Bobamine? No, because I can fill up the rest, and I have 2 open right now. I feel like it's tough at this moment. Do I want to do that? You know what? Nah, I think I'm gonna, yeah, I'm still gonna counterblast 2. I'm going to, now let's hold the Bobamine, actually. I don't know, this is actually a tough decision here, because we have exactly 2. I could flood my board, but I do kind of want a, what was it? This would be nice to have the World Hoarder card, and I just pop down 1, but I do kind of want that counter charge, just so I can't, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm only going to spam one of these tokens. It seems like a really, really weird play, but I can hold this one in hand. You know what? Nah, let's just do that. Yeah, alright, cool. So we are then going to open up with our Vanguard swing here. We are going to be 18k plus an 8k, so that's 26. We're going to drive check twice. 1 and 2. Alright, cool. At the end of battle, it boosted. Let's pop this in and counter charge 1. So our opponent, you know, can't deny us. Essentially, next turn they have to at least swing once at our Vanguard. We are then going to swing over here. It's going to be 15-15. This is going to be 30k. We're then at the end of battle going to pop this guy. We're going to pop something from their field if they have, and then we're going to swing. This is going to be a 38k column, and then we're going to use skill. Popping the, whoops, army tokens do not go in the drop. We're going to pop her, draw a card off that, and yeah, we vacated the column, so not like a great Leonard attack in any way you put it. Let's proceed over to their turn. Let's say we, you know, guarded their Vanguard 2 to pass or something. We took one of their things, boom, okay, we got an Orfist, that's unfortunate, but let's say guard, alright, cool, our turn. Stand and draw. Unfortunately, we don't have the Persona right here. Sucks when you don't have it. It really just feels a little bit flatter overall, but we do have another one of her, which is nice, and we do have him. I don't think I'm going to use him this time. I think I want to just go full on into 3 of my Shadow Army tokens. 1, 2, 3. Oops. Let's put the 3rd here, yeah. And then let's go into Thumbarino. Let's swing. We are going to go 18. It's going to be 33. First check. Second check. Yeah, unfortunately, no triggers here. No luck, really. It sucks when you don't hit triggers, but oh well. We are then going to swing here. It's going to be 38, so we're going to pop that. We're going to draw a card. We are then going to swing. This is going to be 30. And that's kind of the game plan overall. Just make sure that you're live with those counter charges. Let's see if we hit a heal. If we hit a heal, kind of, you know, would be big. Nah, we don't hit a heal, but overall, I think that the deck is just super consistent. Like, you have a lot of different lines of plays, a lot of different choices to make. I think that early on in the game, don't be afraid to kind of counter charge. You might think, oh, I just don't need it right now, but later on, you know, your opponent decides, hey, look, I hit him once. If I hit him again, they're just gonna, you know, have the ability to spam their field. I'm gonna swing into their rear guards instead and just kind of choke them for that long game. But you know, having those counter charges really help you just get around that overall. So thank you guys again so much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed the content, make sure to hit that subscribe button, possibly leave a like on the video. This is Alex from Team Generations, signing out.